this is the title of my presentation, An Interpretation of Culture and History from Images in Antique Books. Antique books in the sense they are 100 years old. Okay. I'm Dr. Praveen. I'm a teacher educator. These are books which I've studied in a college library which is 100 years old. Okay. This is just a presentation overview. I tell you something about the photographs which I'm studying, how culture and history can be studied through it. I'll tell you about something about the objectives, the method, and of course the findings. Okay. Now, photographs, will help us study about culture and history. You can see this particular photograph. You can see this about it's the beginnings of the tricycle or the bicycle, as you may call. We don't see it anymore. But only if you have photographs of this can you really study. But don't assume that all photographs can be authentic evidences. Recently, this appeared in the internet. Not everything you read on, and it's supposed to be a quote by Abraham Lincoln, and we know it's a fake, this thing. So it can always be confusing. One has to be very critical when you study photographs. So when I present the photographs, I would also like you all to form your own impression on it and be alert, and then pull me down if I try to interpret something which is wrong. Okay, so you can also be active throughout. Okay. And now these are the objectives. I'll try to identify culture, history from images in antique books. Of course, I'll try to identify the purpose and intention of the photographer. Okay, so what's my method? It's an empirical qualitative study of images and books which are 100 years old. Okay, I use the strategy normally employed. I observe the photograph, I reflect on it, pose questions, and I to interpret the photograph. Okay, that's a strategy I'm following. This study employed, this is the strategy employed by historians when they're studying photographs. Okay, this is photograph number one. As you can see, this, can you make a guess? This is actually a hot air balloon. Okay, and you can see the carvings, and normally you don't see carvings of this kind. And you see a lady there, the bird, she's releasing a bird. Maybe, so that should tell you that this is some kind of a flight of fancy. Where did this appear? It appeared in the Illustrated London magazine, and this is the caption: "The Captive," as it was, the first gas balloon, 1787. And it is supposed to be from an color engraving published in 1799. We all know that the French Revolution took place in 1789, but have you come across any reference to hot air balloons in any history books which describe the French Revolution? No. But then, if you look at the dress, these could be lovers, could be husband and wife, but definitely the rich. Seeing the world from above. Aeroplanes have not yet come, but hot air balloon was an option. It's a kind of a pastime for them. So the rich could afford it. And it tells you something about the lifestyle of the rich of the time. Okay. But then we cannot fully guess. But just looking at the engraving and the lady releasing the bird above, perhaps it's one way of suggesting that it's a transformation for you. Now, why do you think they published this in the year 1912 in the Illustrated London magazine? Probably they didn't want to attract the rich to go and pursue this. Okay, now this is number two. This is an advertisement which again appeared in the Illustrated London magazine. That is June 15, 1911. This is an advertisement for the baby food Glaxo. Glaxo builds bonny babies, and then ask your doctor. So you see the consumerist strategy, the business strategy. It was prevalent as early as 1911, you see. And then you can see contents of the new revised Glaxo baby book. 100 years ago, they started this strategy, convincing consumers, attracting consumers. And see, they are asking you to go and ask the doctor. Even the doctor is going to verify it. See, strategies they employ for advertisement. You see, this was prevalent years ago. And look at the comfy house in which this man, well dressed, see, He's so see the pride on his face and the mother and the affection, the bonny baby running towards her. Any average middle class family will immediately buy the glasses. But then, have you thought about it? Don't you think skeptics would have asked, is not mother's milk the best for the baby? There would have been, but we don't know. But then, this magazine was used to be subscribed by people who could afford it, not the ordinary people. So they were targeting. So this was happening 100 years ago. Okay, let's move on to number three. This appeared in a magazine called the Harper's Monthly Magazine. You see, this is a scene in a train. You can see ladies sitting here, and this was the caption: "An irresistible force meets an immovable body." So this is a sham display of courtesy. This man, he's leaning on his walking stick, but then he gets up and this lady walks into it. And look at these people, they're absolutely ignoring her. But you can also see here, see, they're passengers or they're traveling. Look at the dress, probably they are tourists, but then this is their attitude. So this particular cartoon, this captures the spirit of the time, the shallow display of courtesy. 100 years ago, they were making fun of the whole thing, and it's happening even now. Okay. Now here's another one. This appeared in the I should say Ingram's Hassel Annual of 1914, and this if you look at the top, you can see charitable and philanthropist advertisement. And what is the advertisement for? They're asking you to donate for aged seamen. And this is run by the king himself. You can see the patron is His Majesty the King. Funds for the Royal Aged Merchant Seamen's Institution. Now, Britain is an island country, an island nation, and then so navies, so seamen, So it tells you something about the life of seamen, Once they return, what about their families? It tells you something about their families too. And but caring for the aged. Now in many countries, especially social security, we take this up. But in Britain, it was happening 100 years ago. They were taking care of aged seamen 100 years ago. You see. Here's another one. Can you all make a guess who this character is? This, as you all know, is Winston Churchill. This, as you can see, there are four figures. I must tell you something to truly help you truly appreciate who these characters are. The one on the top left is Demosthenes. He was a great statesman. What you see right is another person, that is De Artigan. He is the major character in Alexander Dumas's Three Musketeers. And whom you see at the bottom here is actually Cornwall Lewis. He was noted because he took a neutral stance when Britain's cabinet debated intervention in the American Civil War. And the last person here is Daniel in the Lion's Den. And these are all leadership traits, characteristics that a leader should possess when he is a statesman. Even before the World War, Winston Churchill had been recognized as a parliamentarian. Remember, in 1940, the same gentleman became the Prime Minister of Great Britain. Look at the caption here: a choice of characters, and only Winston can do it. He can go as Demosthenes, he can go as Darton, he can go as Lewis, he can go as Daniel in the Den. That sense of humor. Shashi Tharoor, he said, he's a genuine genocidaire whose worst victims were Indians. He criticized the policy of Winston Churchill. What is peculiar about this historical document is that by 1912, even a Punch magazine that identified the real trait of this gentleman here, who was later to become the Prime Minister of Britain. Okay. This is a map which you can see here. This is the 1760 map, which has appeared in a public atlas. What is notable, this is the British India, what you see here. But if you can see here, this is Goa here, Portuguese rule, and somewhere here you can see Pondicherry. Pondicherry is French territory. Okay, but it's too small, but they have identified in this thing. Now we will casually ignore it. But what is peculiar is, here in the South Indian state of Travancore, the Dutch had established a kind of tie-up with the local rulers. They had forts there, but there is no mention of Dutch rule here. What could be the possible reason? It could be because Portugal and the French, they are neighbors of Britain, and any time an attack could happen, if they try to, don't mention it, or if they do anything to them, the French are powerful, they can do anything. So this map tells you a lot. And here also you can see the former Pakistan. Pakistan was not formed. So you can see the river and the Indus Valley, the Indus River, where you have the great civilization you had here. Now these rivers are getting dried up. So, but it's quite prominent here. So maps tell us a lot of stories, and this particular map is again a great historical document. Now look at this. This is supposed to be the first photograph of a diver at the bottom of the sea. Now, if you do a study of it, you'll find that in 1856, this particular first underwater photography was taken in 1850. But actually, this particular photograph that you see appeared only in the, what should I say, in the Illustrated London magazine of 1914. And then this is a caption you have here. And what does the caption say? The caption says that underwater photographer is walking around the wrecks of a fish, the kind of ship which they used to call the blockade runner. And the blockade runner was supposed to be ships that used during the American Civil War. And we tend to ignore that aspect. People who in 1914 who saw this photograph and oh, it's great, now we even have underwater photography. But the fact is, this photograph was taken in the US, and actually they were hunting for treasures in sunken ships. That is, as early as 1914, the American had started exploring ways of getting treasure from hunting ships. We ignore it. We just amazed by this underwater photography. It's like some kind of an art. You see, there is another one. What was the unique plight of the British? They were ruling from far away. But when the World War happened, they needed the support of the Indians. The 1856 Sepoy revolt had happened, but the British suddenly realized, they have to befriend the local rulers. Only then they can survive. So they had a policy of conciliation. Okay, so and what actually happened was many Indian rulers sent their own men to fight beside the British in the war. It's a puzzle. Why it happened? This could have been an opportunity for us to drive off the British, but it did not happen. But so finally the Queen, they all recognized the services of the Indians. So what you see is the service of Indian soldiers in Britain, in your splendid aid for Britain. In fact, this appeared sometime, should I say, in the 1914 edition. They devoted 2 center pages. These are real photographs. So this is kind of indirectly they're acknowledging the work of the Indians. So the time I say the policy, the attitude of the British are beginning to change. So this is solid proof of the work that Indians have. It makes every Indian, it rouses the pride of every Indian when you see this photograph. And finally, this appeared in the Indian Review. Incidentally, the editor was an Indian, and this is a cartoon, and this is what the cartoon says. The poor Indian, and you see, this is a grinding stone tied round it, and he is using a scissors to cut it. And what is it? Please use that big cookery. You can see yes, big knife here, and done with it. With your tiny scissors, such slow work I cannot support. You see, food prices were rising. This is very significant. This appeared in 1909, and years later we had the Bengal famine in which hundreds of people, thousands of people died. And the Indians are protesting through these cartoons. So this again is a historical and solid proof of the British rule in India, the anti-Indian policy of the government of the British. So what I've tried to do is look at history, try to interpret it by local rivers. What you were seeing, what you saw now was a peek at the lives of people and their culture, their values, standing in the corridors of the present time with our own cultural values and norms. Okay, so my interpretation may be challenged, but then these are solid evidences. Now I would these are, as you can see, 1912 edition, the order of precedence: 1912, 1911, 1914, Punch 1912. Here, this Illustrated News 1914, and then 1990. I've just taken 9 photographs. All right. Where did I get these books from? This is because of an UGC project which I had done. This college was established in 1910. I studied in this college. I taught in this college. They had a library collection of books more than 100 years old. And then I with special permission, I studied that and I published them in this website. So if you're interested, you can visit the website. You can see some of the picture visuals I've used here. But if you go to the website, descriptions are not there. Only now you are the first people to listen to the description. But and you can see, if you are interested, please visit the website. So my acknowledgement to the University Grants Commission for funding this study. So that is it. Thank you so much. I'm ready to answer any question you would like to pose. I'm stopping sharing my screen. Thank you.
That was a wonderful presentation, sir.
The pictures were very nice and very cute. The food, that food image was very, very touching. Like, yeah, even the first picture was very, very. You see the glory of the Victorian time, and you see 1940 in the other picture.
Thank you so much.
The hot air balloon is fueled from that last picture, the first picture and last picture.
Yeah, so you have a really great collections. I have seen lots of your presentation before as well. So you focused always the images, and it's not like images. We can see images also from a Google site, but the thing is, your images, like, it's not visible in the Google site. So that's why it's really important and also very attractive.
As I was watching your presentation, I noticed so many interpretations for a single image. So many complicated interpretations, and I was thinking, since I am a technocrat, I mean, my job is artificial intelligence. I was thinking that how difficult it is for a machine to provide such kind of interpretations. Maybe in the next millennium.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I puzzled with this, because here in our field, in mathematics, we always try to find algorithms in order to introduce some perception for very, very simple concepts for the humans, but these concepts are very difficult to be realized in artificial intelligence. And I was fascinated about your type of interpretations. How you connected things from images that were appeared in different time, in different time intervals.
One more thing I wanted to comment, like if you go to the first picture that you shared of the hot air balloon, the concept is very different from the basket ones that we have. It is actually in the shape of a boat, and it has an anchor.
Yes.
Which means that it is supposed to land in water.
Yes.
Maybe, there was one of the interesting things I noted, because I did not have any idea that hot air balloons could land in the sea. So it was very interesting. Very good, interesting work, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I thought it was ornamental, because they were people who sold estates to wear a gown. So I thought the anchor was another ornament on the hot air balloon.
What really amazed me was this is based on an engraving in 1790, and that means it's not even
1799.
So this engraving is based on an engraving in 1718. That means in that time they had this concept. We thought it was only in the 1900s we had seen the hot air balloon as a pastime, but it was happening 200 years ago. That was a revelation for me. Even if an artist should see it to draw that.
Yeah, and most of the exploration happened through ships. So they must have been a shipbuilding community to merge the ideas of the hot air balloon with a ship, which can travel on water, and as required, it can go up and again land back in water. So yeah, very interesting. Very good.
So any other questions, comments? It was nice meeting you all, sharing ideas from different countries, different contexts, different topics, and our perspectives. I think that's a truly enriching session. So thank you all. See you. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.